Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Leader. Make sure I'm actually getting everything going here. Alright, sound levels look good. See if I can hear my own voice a little bit, that's better. Alright, welcome. Alright, as you can see today, or maybe you've just heard, I am featuring tonight the Elektron Tonverk. This is Elektron's brand new flagship groove box. It is not an Octatrack 3, to many people's chagrin, and not including mine. I'm excited about it. I love this thing, but like, who wouldn't want an Octatrack 3? I mean, if you've had, technically it'd be an MK3 out or whatever, but if you've had an Octatrack already and know what it can do, dear Lord, I would love to have an updated version of that, because the Octatrack original is an amazing device. Blows my mind that it came out like, 12 years ago? Maybe longer than that. It is an old device. And they did do an MK2 model, but all they did was slap a shiny new face on it with a couple extra buttons and a nicer screen. Smaller, but nicer. And I think they updated some headroom on the inputs and outputs or something like that. But, nominal stuff. Nothing, they didn't add more inputs. They didn't put in a whole new, DSP or higher level, FPGA or whatever those are. So, with that said, this is the Elektron Tonverk. This is a very interesting machine. I really like it. I'm not going to lie. I think it's fantastic, but that's because I'm also an Elektron fanboy. Absolutely will admit that. And so I am not afraid to say that. I think everything that they've made has pretty much been a hit for me. I didn't ever get a chance to play with any of the older boxes, like the Mono Machine Drum, the original, which was the SID Station, but everything else I've basically gotten my hands on, and I love it. I think it's great stuff. And they've taken this new format a little bit to the next level. So instead of your originally they were down to 2 bars back in the day, 32 steps, but they did go 64 steps for like a decade. Then the Digitone 2 and Digitac 2 came out. We got 128 steps, which was great. On this guy, you don't get the little LED stuff, but every one of these can represent a bar, meaning you get 256. That's awesome. And on top of that, you get the scaling options, so you can stretch that 256 out if you're doing something a little bit more sporadic. Or you can do really, really fun stuff by increasing the scale so that actually you're doubling the time. So you can have a 256 patch. I wonder if it goes, I think it's just, 2. So you can't do anything higher than that. But if you were, say, speeding up double, then you basically get 128 steps at 30-second notes, which is incredible. So that's pretty great. I just want to check real quick. Make sure I'm cooking here properly. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like I am. Cool. Anyways, fantastic box. So let me address one more thing before we get started. It is full of bugs. It is, I've said this many times on Elektronauts forum and other places, but I generally stay away from new releases from most brands, really, probably everybody, when it comes to music gear. But Elektron, I do, because they release this stuff, and I'm not doubting they do a lot of testing, but for whatever reason, man, it just does not come out clean. It is often problematic. And, the thing they got going for them, though, and everybody would agree, I believe, is that Elektron tackles these bugs, and they tackle these, and they bring tons of new features. This is, I can tell, but also I know, because of what Elektron has said publicly, this product is kind of in its infancy. For one, yes, it's buggy. They got a few bugs, some serious bugs. They got a MIDI sync bug that basically makes this unusable with any other device at all, which is kind of like a hallmark of Elektron boxes, as they plug together and stay in excellent sync together. This does not at all. And also the big multi-sampler, which is a very cool addition. We'll get to that a lot, really, because that's going to be probably the crux of what we do here, because it's just so fantastic. But making your own is kind of hit or miss because one, the timing, the MIDI, it sounds like they might be related, but the MIDI in general, the timing of the MIDI is all over the place. So then when you go to create something, you're going to have problems. But on top of that, you can't edit post processing a multi-sample recording. So say I got my synth plugged in and I got everything set up and I get it all and I do every single key across the whole keyboard. So you're going to have a ton of samples, maybe an extra velocity or two for each one of those. So you can create a ton of samples, but then you go back and you play it and you're like, oh, that's odd. When I played this one, it was like a half a second behind the rest because there's a MIDI problem and then you can't go back and edit it. So that's got to be coming. I mean, it's a bummer they didn't have it in the beginning, like right off the get-go. But I cannot imagine we don't get more editing capacity in this thing because I'd be blown away. I don't know what Elektron's doing. They're a relatively tight-lipped company, but I would imagine that this is going to try to fulfill some of the Octatrack, not all of it. Nothing Elektron does in a different box fulfills all of another box. That's not their model. But I do think it's going to have some Octatrack, what am I trying to slices, various other editing techniques. I hope it gets the record against the grid like you can on Octatrack. It's a pain in the butt on the Digitac because you basically have to do it by ear and then go back and edit it and get it just right. It's a pain in the butt, where on the Octatrack, I can set up a record trig and I can record something perfectly. So good that you can live sample while you're using the Octatrack, save it elsewhere, and then start a new pattern and reference that, and you won't even the people in the audience wouldn't be able to tell the difference. If you say you internally recorded the whole master track and slopped it onto one track and switched over to it, there's no way live. Maybe in a studio because there might be some degradation to the file, like a tiny bit, but I doubt it. Regardless, that was amazing, and that again was 12 years ago. Like, why are we in this place? Oh, I'm almost going to go off on a tangent here. Like, I love Elektron. Elektron, you make amazing products. Man, it's crushing me when I see things that the Octatrack can do that the Digitac 2 still can't do. Or, it's just like, man, Anyway, this is a new platform for them. I don't know too much about the back end, but I do know that this is I think it's Rust, which is a programming language. So it's new. I believe there's going to be a ton of capability in this thing. Honestly, right now, if there weren't bugs in this, it would be a very, very impressive instrument. It still kind of is, but the bugs take away some of those features right now because they're unusable. But with that said, the things that I really like about this box, you get a ton of modulation. You get a ton of effects. You also get something that's really awesome. You basically get several internal outputs or buses to send the audio to, and you can program per step, per track, where that audio goes. So for, say, example, you're running 8 audio tracks. You do have 8 audio tracks. Then you have the 4 buses. You have 3 send returns, technically. They're the where you keep the send effects or the return effects, if you will. And then 1 final master track. Each one of these is a full-featured sequencer, so meaning if there's a parameter within that track, you can sequence most of them, if not all of them, per the thing there. So, but what I was going to say is, so you got these first 8 tracks here that are all audio tracks. Now, just say you want to have different effects on each one of these buses, some drastic, some really intense, some not so intense. You can change, say, a drum on this track 1. You can send it into each one of these buses individually at any time. So maybe step 1 through 4, you got a clean drum with a little bit of compression, and then step 2, it goes into step 5, it goes into some massive reverb for a step, and then back. Just wacky stuff like that. So super exciting. So that was something I was working on earlier, but I'm gonna go ahead and start a new bank here. So I got to remember how to do that. Jeez, how do I do that? Oh dear. Things are much different than any other one. Normally you'd have a bank button, and I'm sure there is one that I'm not seeing. Why am I not seeing the bank button? I think maybe it's this guy. No, that's not it. Wow, I can't believe I'm a little panicky maybe from being on camera because I don't understand where I'm missing this track. All right, well. Oh, yeah, it is these. Okay. So let's just start a new one. There we go. Make sure there's nothing there. Great. Okay. So There's another thing that I didn't mention yet that is really, really fantastic, and Elektron has Electron has added what they call super slash subtracks. They kind of refer to them as subtracks, but you have to understand the super track to some degree. So essentially, what you can do is you can decide, instead of having a single multi-sample or just a single sample on a track, you can turn this into 8 individual subtracks that all basically answer to that super track, this main one here. You can do this for every of the audio tracks, so theoretically you could have 64 sounds going at the same time. You could essentially say this is a 64 voice synthesizer, or sampler, or whatever, except that you only get the 8 voices per track. So you can't say, have like a 27 voice synth on one track. You get 8 per track. That's it. If you don't use them all, well, they just sit in the ether then. So with that said, we can take track 1 and we can go ahead and bring in a full drum kit. There is a stipulation here, and that is you do get some parameters and possibilities per subtrack, but all the send effects go to a master super track. So basically you have it's a subtrack which then gets mixed down into a stereo track that then goes through most half of the things that you can do in a regular track. So the subtracks are lacking in some areas, but if you're doing drums, there's still a lot there. There are a few tweaks and a few features I would like to see added there eventually, but for now, it's still pretty awesome, I gotta say. Even having to use 2 tracks for drums, say you want to have your kick and your snare on one and then use the rest for percussion stuff, that's still vastly better than what you normally have to do on an Elektron drum machine or whatever. You have to stack them, so you end up, I almost, even on my old Digitac and my old Digitone that only had 8 tracks, Digitone had 4, so I would always designate probably 3 to 4 on the Digitac and at least 2 on the Digitone. So right there, that was like almost half. This I can do an incredible amount with 2 tracks, and a very, very good amount and usable amount with just even 1 single track. So let's see what we got for the drums. What kind of song should we make, man? I don't know. Let me think for a second. What kind of song should we make? I don't really like to say genres, because if I ever try to make a genre, people would be like, that's not that. This house DJ guy who was also producing his own stuff, and I really thought it'd be fun to try and work with him, and I tried to for like 2 days, and he was not a very nice guy when it came to not fitting in the house. He could have told, well, whatever. Point is that I don't usually say genres, because then people be like, well, that's not a house track because of this and that, or that's not a techno. But let's just go for a upbeat electronic, kind of fast-paced, noisy, 4 on the floor kind of thing. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's get back in here to the subtracks. Let's see what we got. Listen for the kick first. Kind of reminds me of Mega Man. Cool, that works. All right, we've loaded it up. So now I'm gonna hit no here. You can hear this track 1, and then these now represent these only the, if you will, non-sharp, the natural keys, because this is supposed to mimic a keyboard. So this first row here, right here, are our drums, and that's all happening on track 1. Now that is pretty honestly amazing. I love that. So let's just write something here. I'm just going to program it. Maybe speed up the tempo a little bit. Tempo, let's go to like 127. Okay, we're just going to do a nice 4 on the floor. So also very cool, subtracks, you get a sequencer, full sequencer, 250, this is crazy, 256 steps per subtrack. Again, you can have every one of your audio tracks, 8 subtracks with 8 tracks with 8 subtracks, 64 tracks each capable of running a full 256-step sequence. I'm not even trying to do that math. That's awesome. I mean, that is incredible. So that tells me right now that, like, just out of the gate, this thing is going to be a capable monster, because Elektron is notorious for releasing impressive feature updates. We're talking like massive updates that fundamentally change things about the synth for the better. And I feel and I hope that they thought that out for this guy, and what they released is just the beginning, which they alluded to. So anyway, 64. Wow, that's incredible. Each with a 256 step. So, okay, let's just program this. So hit the record. We're just going to do a 1, 5, 9, 13. Good old classic. All right. We're going to make the, generally when I write things like this, I kind of just come right in and try to make the, not the big part of the song, but like a kind of driving part of the song, and then I'll deconstruct that when I want to build up to it, or, you know, want to exit out of it. So we're just going to build a nice grooving track right now. I'd probably mess with the sounds in here, but we're not going to worry about that now. We're just trying to make something groove. Okay, that sounds not very good, so we're going to go ahead and do some, quantize. Yes, boom, right there. So this is track 1. So interesting. I wonder if I have to quantize everything. So this would be an example. Yeah, that'd be an example, which is kind of a bummer, but, you know, so I guess I shouldn't say full featured 256 step pattern, because there are some limitations, but, you know, I could manually quantize this and then turn off the quantization, but we're going to leave it on for now. Let's take some of this velocity down. That's already kind of hitting my ears. There we go. Okay. Simple beat. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a bass line. Track 2. Hold function, hit the source button. It's hard to see because they usually put a bunch of stuff underneath these, but it is one single mention of setup. So every one of these menus, by holding function and tapping one of these buttons, gets you a underneath the hood menu. And what's also kind of nice is you can scroll through them up here somehow. Oh, you just hit the buttons. Yeah, that takes you, it keeps you in the secondary mode. All right, multiplayer. Let's see if we can get ourselves a bass. There is no filtering to find stuff. There's a lot of things missing. There's no trig preview. There's a lot of stuff that I really believe they're gonna fill it in. I don't want to say for sure because I'm not Elektron, but if I was a betting man, I'd put money on it. So, all right, let's see what we got. We do have the nicety of being able to actually hear the track before we play it. We can preview it essentially. Well, let's just go with that. Nice and simple. Oops, I went too much. Forgot I was only. There we go. Let's see if maybe we can do a little cleanup on that low end. Oops, I'm in the wrong filter. I'm going to use the regular filter. Do a high pass. Whoops. That's a 0. Another thing they got to work on these knobs are very sensitive in terms of acceleration. Can be a challenge to like get that fine tuning in. It's too much resonance there. In case you can't see what I'm doing, yeah, you should be able to see it pretty well. The idea is I use a high pass filter to scoot out some of those low rumbly frequencies, but then I use a resonance down there at that cutoff frequency to boost that bass. So it's kind of a little trick that I really find useful because it gives you the oomph of the bass, but it takes away that mud. You know, I'd probably do a little bit more, but only problem with using that high pass filter is you really can't do much with the envelope if this is what you're going for. At least I don't find that I can. Maybe add a little overdrive to it, just to kind of compress it just a tiny bit. It gives us a little bit, and I'll bring the volume down a little bit. Okay, cool. Simple. We're not winning any awards with this one. Maybe we'll. Who knows, right? Crazy things have happened. Number 3, track 3. Okay, so I got my bass, I got my kick, I got my whole drum kit. I haven't used it all yet, but I've got that. And I've got a bass, so I got my fundamental rhythm section going. Now I think I'm going to add some keys. Enjoying one of the fine Asheville, North Carolina local breweries. It is Highwire Brewing's Bed of Nails. You can kind of see it in there. Oh man, it's so good. It's a very nice, refreshing brown ale. All right, keys. Let's try. We got nothing here. Function source to get the back end to the multiplayer. I didn't explain all of these, but single player is just your traditional, very similar to a Digitac. You know, well, with a lot of those features missing in terms of editing stuff, but nonetheless, single player is just a single sample. No time stretching, no anything really. So again, room for improvement, but I believe in them. It's just, oh, God, I wish it was there now, because this is going to be great. It's like the only time in my life that I want a fast forward machine, because I don't want to wait. But there's too many other things to take it easy and slow for. So, multiplayer, we're looking for a keyboard of some kind. I'm just going to have to play because we don't have any filtering for the presets. Ooh. Sure. We do get the preview, which is nice. Ooh. I feel like something's there. Nah, I'm not feeling it though. I don't know. I feel like I want something a little softer. That might work. Cool, I like that. But we do need to add extra bars. So we're going to hold function, hit page, hit it again. You can see you can actually double, well, add 16, I should say. As you go through. And if you want to get individual pages, you can just go up and down and get 16, go up by 1 or 2. But we want 32. Hold function, hit it again. Let's see where we are. So we don't get, not in any visually pleasing way. I mean, I think sometimes this thing functions as, but you don't get any page indicating LEDs on the front panel here. You do have to look at the screen. It's kind of hard to see. No, you can see it. Those little guys. Yeah, you know, God, I would have loved to just, I don't know, maybe right there. But again, you know, I don't design these things. They make choices for a reason. So, what was it? Oh no, did I not save it? Bet you I didn't. Oh, that's another trick. You got to go in here. Yes. Got to hit yes to make sure you load it. Throws me sometimes because I'm sitting there playing and I'm like, oh, I got it. And I just go ahead and move on, but nope. Oh, I forgot. What was it? Nah, we're just gonna go with that because I don't remember. 2, 3, 4. Oops. Nope, can't see the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Bomb that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. We are gonna go ahead and, oops. Where is it? Where's my, quantize? Ooh, that makes it worse. Alright, I'm just going to do a little manual fix here real quick. clear that and do that again. I don't have time to sit there and try to figure out what I played so badly. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3. Man, it's not so much. It sounds like I'm just so off. There we are. That's not too bad. Okay, that works. All right, now we're getting a groove going, so now let's go back and actually do some effecting and stuff and try to make these things sound a little better. It's a little vanilla. It's interesting that nothing plays. By that off? Oh, wow. No? So that's a kind of a weird thing right there. Look at that. Let's mute these. Oh, it's there. Maybe my headphones just aren't doing a good enough job telling me. It didn't sound like there was any kick or any drum in that very first hit. So let's look back over at track 2, make sure we got this guy. I'll just get it nice and even. Okay, so we need to definitely put some effects on that. So let's just start there. Let's see what we have in here first of the source. So, I mean, with the multiplayer, look, you're not getting much. You get a little bit of vibrato you can add in there. The speed of the vibrato. A little bit of fade for the vibrato, which is nice. If you're gonna have, I generally like to use vibrato, like fading in, and then a tune parameter. That's it. That's all you get. Filter, you do get the full-fledged filters. You get 2 of them. You get a bandpass style with adjustable low and high, and then you also get your guy here, which I believe. Yeah, I don't even think. I don't know. You just get a variable filter. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I thought there was another. No, so we really just get one style filter, which does cover a bunch of different kinds of filters, but at least in the Digitone and Digitac, you get multiple flavors, at least 2. I shouldn't say multiple. Amp. So filter, yeah, just basic. You do get some kind of stuff here that's free. There's a little more filter control, that's for sure. Key tracking. The spread's interesting. That's kind of a new thing. And then you get your standard stuff there with envelope, and then you get your amp, which is just your envelope, and the overdrive, pan, and volume. You do get 3 send effects, pretty standard in Elektron stuff. So you get your chorus, your delay, and your reverb. But what's cool about that actually is those are just presets. You can actually come, because they represent the 3 return channels right here. This is your chorus, here's your delay, and there's your reverb, I believe. Probably right. But if you go here, let's just go here for a second. Boom. And you can see this is just loaded there. You can change it. We got all sorts of stuff. Compressor, daisy delay, panoramic chorus. That was what's on there right again. Rumsklang reverb. Interesting. Saturator delay. Super void reverb. And that's it for the send tracks. So you really don't get that much, but you know, you get a couple of different delays, a couple of reverbs in the chorus. And a compressor. Not bad. Not bad. You do get more for the individuals. So like, you know, let's see here. That was this track. Let's go ahead and load something. Let's see. We get chrono pitch. We get comb filter. Chrono pitch is, well, I'll show you this. It's a pitch effect, but it's got some interesting stuff to it. Comb filter. Compressor. Degrader. This is a really cool little like lo-fi tool. It's got a couple different things in there, which is really nice. I will say it's a little bit of a bummer because some of those tools used to just appear in every track without having to use an FX slot, or, you know, without having to, you know, the ones didn't really have FX slot except for like Octatrack. But the point being is it used to just kind of exist in the track. Now you have to add it as an effect. So it does take up a space, but whatever. It's still really cool, but you do get multiple things to play with in there. Filter bank, you know, I've never really used filter banks that much, so I kind of struggle with it, but I get the concept. The idea is you have multiple filters. It's essentially kind of like it's kind of like an EQ in a way, but then you can do some fun sequencing and stuff with that. I haven't dived into it enough, so I haven't really used it too much. Infinite flanger, that's nice. It can be very subtle to very ridiculous flanger sounds. You do get just a low-pass filter here, which is nice if you need an additional filter that's a real low-pass filter. Panoramic chorus, that was also in the sends, phase 98, and saturator delay. You can see there are some missing delays and reverbs in here. They do only allow the reverbs on the send channels, and the only delay we get on the regular channels is the saturator delay. So for this one, let's use the degrader. It's kind of where I start a lot. So let's just hear what this sounds like. I'm going to get rid of these two. I love messing with the sample rate. Instantly adds some nice like SP1200 kind of ring. I'm going to show you what the bit reduction does. I don't use it that much. It's a bit too noisy. And I'd be more into it, I think, if I had more control over how long it did that, because it just kind of takes over the sound. If it was I was able to mess with the decay of that separately somehow, then that would be, I'd probably use more. Drop is interesting. Drop literally is like a bad connection. Like it's almost like a randomizer for volume dropouts, and very cool concept. I probably won't use it that much unless I'm really doing some lo-fi stuff, which I don't really do too much lo-fi stuff. Not that I'm opposed to, it's just never been something I write a lot in, so I'll have to play with that more there. What is the rate and depth for? I think it has to do with, yeah, modulation depth, so it's this freeze. Right here. You can hear what it's doing. It's doing kind of like some random beat. What is that thing called? Beat tripper? What is it called? Stutter. Yeah. It can be very interesting. Let's add a little bit to it. Oh, so this is actually something different. That is not to do with the freeze and freeze time. Okay. For me, when I'm adding that, then I have to follow it up with some delay. I'm actually going to send it to the send delay. Ooh. That is a weird preset setting for delay. So let's fix that. There we go. Effects. Yeah, I don't know why that was so off. Oh man, it's gonna be hard to salvage. This is getting pretty sloppy over here, so we'll try. That's what this is all about. I'm not trying to make gold-plated diaper records over here. I'm trying to make anything sound okay while trying to experience this. So this is this guy. That's a little better. All right, let's try some of the filter here. Let's see if we can get. I wonder if I can do a little quantization now, because I still feel like it's a bit sloppy. Yeah, my playing was better. Let's bring that down about 87. That's a little tighter. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna wipe that out. Just that thing, the sound. I didn't like it. It was starting to bother me. If it's doing that, then it's no good. Let's try again. I feel like we need something simpler and something more of like a pad or a keyboard that just kind of hangs for a while. So let's try some more. Try not to fall into like similar melodic traps that I usually do, so let's just hear. Nope. It's not great, but it works. Need an extra, so full C. 4 steps this time. 3, 4. What happened? Did I do what I always do and didn't load the... Probably. There we go. Maybe we should just do something like this. Yeah, it works. Pretty simplistic. I think we're gonna have to go up to 128 for that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I think I was too early, wasn't I? Oh, maybe not. Okay. All right, let's go back here. Clean up some of that low end a little bit. And not that much. Trying to give a little bit of filter movement by using the filter envelope. Not really hearing much though. Man, that's weird. Yeah, it seems like my velocity on some of those hits was kind of poor, so it's not really doing much for us. All right, well, let's try something here. Let's try and use a compressor. Yeah, that works all right. Let's take a little more of that bass out just a bit. Okay, now let's bring in some modulation. What are we going to mess with? Let's try maybe some filter frequency. It's weird because I feel like that's off. It's just me. I feel like that should be 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like a third. Maybe the speed now. Whatever. We're just gonna do it by ear. Okay. Let's give that some nice reverb there. Alright. A little delay maybe? It's kind of fun sometimes to put delay on pads like this because especially when you got some movement going on, you can get some nice syncopation. I'm not hearing much that I'm liking right now. The reverb's not bad. Let's go ahead and move this out of the center too, maybe off to the right. Okay, I've definitely got to kill some of that low end more now. Might bring some back later. I definitely feel like when I'm balancing out a mix, when something's got a lot of low end and it's got it off to the right or left, I got to clean it up. But sometimes when I add some stuff to juxtapose it on the opposite side, I can bring some of it back in because it doesn't feel so jarring on one ear. Let's add one more effect in there, and then we're going to start cleaning this track up with a little bit of drum attention because the drums are a bit dry and boring. Maybe a little bit of bass. I kind of like the pad. I think that's doing its job okay. Let's go multiplayer. Honestly, I used a multiplayer on almost every one of these. Why use a single layer when you have a multiplayer? So I almost feel like they could have just done away with the single layer. Unless they're going to add some cool specific effects and parameters for that, that would be nice. But really, I think you're just going to find yourself in the multis. All right, let's see what we got. We want something. I wouldn't call it a lead. I don't want a lead, but I want like something happen on the left side that will kind of counterbalance that drone / pad. Ooh. New. Hmm. No. Cool. I think we just do a drone with that. Oh, it doesn't last. Wonder if I can just... Yeah, we'll do it. Okay, let's see. Okay, we'll do another one. We just need to do one of these. Oh, I did it again. Every time I'm going to make that mistake, dude. I'm so glad that it saves where you were, so you don't have to go find it again. Yeah, that was smart. I think they realized people were going to do that a lot, so they let you at least keep your space in the multi-field, so you don't have to go and try and find that thing manually by searching. Okay. Whoops. Voices, so if you do that, well, that's interesting. I have the length set there. Do I have to do it individually? Where is it? Where's my note assign? Step edit. I think that's what the deal is. Yep, so yeah, 30. Let's take this down to 16. This one goes down. Oh, I guess it already changed. Oops, where am I going? 16. I think I had more notes than that, didn't I? Did I really just do 2? Oh. Well, I don't know what's going on now. Oh, maybe those weren't fully lit. That was just throwing me off. Okay. That's something to keep in mind, too, is you will see these lit up. But if you go up... Well, that's weird. How many notes did I put on this thing? 16. 16. 16. I guess I played them. Okay. Well, let's try it. All right. Back to the sequence. Make sure we're on page 1. Hold this guy. Page 2. Crap, I don't know if... So black means it's there. Okay. What's going on here? That's it. Now if I come over to page 2, paste that. Why am I not hearing it twice? There it goes. Okay, we need something there. Let's go ahead and clean up a little bit of the frequencies with the bandpass, so we can take it all the way up. Okay, kind of light. I like that. Not eating up too much of the low end. Let's go ahead and send it to the reverb a little bit. What's the delay? It's weird though, I'm not getting... I feel like that delay wasn't doing much at all. Okay, one thing I like to do real quick is I like to go to the chorus, and I like to make sure... we don't get it in this one. I was just using the digitone. I thought it would be there. You usually get a send from the chorus into the reverb, but I guess because of the nature of this being swappable and the reverb not just being a hard instance, You don't get that. That's a bummer. Okay, well, do the bides. Oh, where am I? I'll go back here. Track 4. We got a good amount of cleaning on that filter. Let's bring it over to the left a little more. Now we need something to kind of just give it some movement. Sounds very boring and dry. Well, I do have a vibrato. Let's see what that sounds like. Let's do a fade on that. It's kind of subtle, but it's there. Like I can hear it there because I heard it not being there before, but if I think I took it away and then added it like stopping in between, I probably wouldn't. No, I can hear it. I can hear it. Let's take it down a little bit. And I think we'll go ahead and throw an LFO on here. So here's another thing that's really fun. You do get an additional mod envelope, which is awesome. Very nice to have that. You also get 2 modulation groupings. You get an two LFOs in the voice, meaning basically all the normal parameters. Then you get 2 to manage your effects that you've loaded, which we haven't loaded any yet. So you get 4 LFOs and then 3 envelopes technically per track, which is awesome. That's definitely an increase. You know, you do get, was it 3 LFOs I think on the Digitone 2 that are just for the whole track itself, but you don't get to affect the FX with that. So it's kind of a trade-off. You get 1 additional, but you get 1 less. One of those is taken away from the track to put into the FX, LFO FX. FX LFO. So, sorry, to surmise that in a better way, you get 4 LFOs total per track, but 2 of them have to be used for the track itself, where you have like, you know, your trigs page, your source, your filter, your amp, but then you get 2 additional ones to affect only the FX that you've loaded into the FX slots. So you also get the mod envelope, which can do, it's just, okay, it's not for the effects, it's just like the first 2 LFOs, it just affects the track itself for all the regular parameters. So let's try and do, let's see, we're going to mod the voice. We're going to mess around with that vibrato. Let's try the vibrato depth. See what we give this. I'm going to do something I really like to do. It's one of my favorite things. I think Elektron's the only one I really know that does all this, just from my limited experience. You get this fancy little wave. I'm sorry, what would you call this? You know, the way the LFO behavior. So you get free, which means the LFO turns on and does its thing. It's always doing its own thing. You're not telling it to do anything. You have a trigged version, so every time a new note trig happens, it's going to restart the LFO to the beginning. And you have this fancy one, which I really like. From my understanding, what it is a free running LFO, meaning you don't tell it when to start, but whenever a trig note comes in, it basically samples the parameter. So say you have just a traditional sine wave LFO going up and down, positive 128 all the way to negative 128, and every number in between. You're getting all that in a nice fluid motion. Great for, you know, moving something around. You want it to kind of swash and swirl, but say you want to reference that, but only in parts. So you want to say whenever a note happens, boom, note. And that's the way that parameter is going to stay. So say you're up here at 100 and you hit right there with a note, and that's sent to the filter cutoff. Well, now for the period of that note, for however long that note lasts, the filter cutoff will sample that parameter value and stay there. That's where it's going to stay until it gets the next note, and wherever that next note hits, while that free running LFO hits, will send a new parameter to the destination. The idea there is you basically get sort of a sample and hold effect, but you're not kind of held to the standard of what LFO with sample and hold does, which is just random, constant. You can certainly set the rate at which it's going to do that, but unless you're playing every note on a 16 step, you're going to get some bleed over. So basically you're going to play, you know, a whole half note, you know, 4 steps, a half note right there. And you are going to get that LFO. Sample and hold is going to do all sorts of parameter wackiness to whatever you have to set it to. This gives you that randomness, but it holds it per note. So let's see what we got. The multiplier doesn't make too much of a difference as long as it's going at least to a minimum of how long each note is. And the idea being there that, like, you know, if I set it to 16 or if I set it to 512, it doesn't matter. It's going the same. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. It does. Well, since it's random, I have the random waveform. It doesn't matter because it's picking random faster, but you're only using whatever parameter is exactly happening when you hit it. So it's kind of like, you call it like double random, but is there such a thing as double random? Wouldn't random just be all that there is? So it doesn't really matter as long as you get the minimum. If I have it down to like 1, then yes, it'll stay longer. But we don't have to worry about that. So, not hearing a whole lot of action. Yeah, let's try maybe a different parameter. Let's hear what happens with the filter. Stereo spread. That's kind of neat. You can hear. So you can kind of hear what it's doing there. Every new note has to do a new setting. Oh, interesting. That's awful. Love it. We'll give it on vibrato depth. Oh, was it depth or let's do speed. Let's increase the depth a little bit. Okay. Yep, it works. Okay. So let's start doing you know, we don't have a whole lot going on, so let's do this. Let's punch up the drums a little bit, maybe the bass a little bit. Let's just make it so it sounds like it's something you can enjoy listening to on a repetitive basis, because that's what we're going to do. And right now it's just a little boring. All right, so let's do some drums. This is where I immediately fall out of any sort of electronic genre, because I'm not going to stick to something that's just going to repeat over and over, which is definitely a hallmark of those kind of sounds of music. Sometimes, you know, not always, but let's try. Okay. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, got these guys here, I'm holding all those new steps down. I'm going to take the probability down to 50%. And what I should have done is not hold all of them. I'm just going to hold them right now, get to 50%. With this one, I'm going to change to a conditional trig of pre. And just real quick, what that means here is this one now will randomly play 50% of the time. So it could not play for 3 steps and then play for the next 3 steps after that. It's like flipping a coin. You never know what you're going to get. It's a perfect possibility of happening or not happening. But I want this one to play whenever that one does. So the precondition looks to the previous closest trig that has a condition, and that can be probability, a condition. I think that's the only 2. Yeah, because there's fill, which is separate on some other ones. It's not on this one. So anyway, so because this one has a condition on it, a 50% probability condition, whenever it plays, it will trigger this one that is looking for the previous one that has played that has a condition. What's really cool is you can actually set it to off, so that the exact opposite. When that would play, that wouldn't, but that's not what we want. We want it to do that. Okay. Okay, let's try a little bit of snare fun here. That's just kind of nice where it is. Take the velocity down in these. nice little shuffle going. Let's see if we had another one back down here. I'm going to take the velocity down a little bit on that first one. So now here's another trick that I like to do. If we take 5 and 13, we definitely want those to happen every time. We can lock those, boom, at 100%. So now they are definitely going to play every time, even though I'm going to turn this guy down for the entire track. Let's go to 66%. Roughly 2 out of every 3 times. I think we need to take it lower. I think we're going to do a pre on this one too, just because. Whoops. You know, that's interesting because I haven't messed with this enough. Seeing these differences, and I haven't done the Digitone that much either, is that I now have competing conditions. Like on all the previous electrons that had this, you set either probability or a conditional trig. Well, and again, that's why I called probability a conditional trig. It was one parameter that lets you choose one of those settings. Now you have 3, so that makes me think if I set something to previous, but also has a probability of 60%, I wonder if that takes that into account. If so, that is very cool. That is very cool, because I would be saying that, like, you know, if this trig here plays, and I do want this one to play, but not every time either, I want that to play 60% of the time that this one plays every time. And this one, I'm not in the frame here, the first one that I was referencing could itself have a probability of 50%. So that's cool. I got to figure out if that's the case. I hope so. I would think so, because they're usually pretty good about locking down things if they're going to interfere. So I'm pretty sure that would work that way. And I don't want to deal with it right now because it's kind of hard to hear. Maybe as a test run we can do it later. But I think we need to just go with full on the floor on these guys. Oh! I wonder if that'll work. I wonder how the neighbor conditional trigs are going to work on subtracks. Well, let's find out. This one I do want to find out. So let's see. We got 3, 5, right? 3, 5, 8, 10, 11. So let's just do it. 3, 5, 8, 10. Okay. 3, 5, 8. Oh, my fingers aren't stretching. 3, 5, 8, 10. And we're going to mark this to a neighbor. If neighbor's in here, where's neighbor? It's got to be in here. And the acceleration on these things is pretty awful. I can't lie. I really got to fix that. Okay, so not neighbor play. Kind of landed on it randomly. Okay. And we have 11, 13, and 15. Man, this would be so great if this worked, but it's not the neighbor right next to it. I might have to move this over. But let's hear. Oh, wait. It is working. No. Why is this one going? Oh. I think I set these to neighbor, not neighbor. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to try and fix this real quick by doing... Well, how am I going to shift this over here? I don't know. I don't know if I can. I think they are where they are. Okay. Well. Oh well. Let's just take 5 and 13 out. Let's get rid of the trigs. Why does it say not fill? Man, I get some weird behavior. I'm not going to lie. Look at this. Most of these, they're not even neighbors anymore. So maybe neighbor would work and I just didn't have it set up. All right, I'm just going to do them all not neighbor. Yeah, man. See, I set those to not neighbor and now they're all like not fill. Like, what happened there? That doesn't make any sense to me. I got to tell you, it's tough because there's a lot of bugs, and because you don't really know all of them, I don't know all of them, you start working on something and things start acting weird. And if it was just like 1 or 2 bugs, you'd be able to like, oh, don't do that again. But I swear, it's just like a lot. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. We're still gonna just make do. I'm gonna pan these hi-hats off to the left and the right a little bit. Get a filter per subtrack. 2 filters, actually. And it's probably too demanding to ask of it, but you only get the FX general. So you can load FX in here, but they're going to affect all of your sounds. So let's go ahead and put a compressor in here. There it is. And I'm not really familiar any way to do sidechain as of yet. Maybe there's a way, I don't know. Maybe you have to do a single kick on just a regular track versus a sub-track, but it doesn't exist as far as I know. Wow, it's not giving me much. I forgot to put the chat up. God, I hope no one's chatted and I've just been sitting here blabbing away by myself. I should check. Honestly, don't get unfortunate that much chatter, but I should have been checking. Let me go check here. And it's not letting me get to it. Come on. Come on. There it is. Let's see. No chats. No worries. Hey, everybody. Oops. Body. Feel free to join in. Yeah. Hopefully. Love it. Please. I'd love to hear what people say about the sounds. I'd love to hear some recommendations. Hey, twist that filter. Use a slow pass instead of the high pass. You know, that kind of stuff. But I'm happy to just play by myself for a while too. That's totally fine. Now I will be able to see that in case anybody does. Okay. And back out of here. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, cool. I think we got it. It's kind of fun. I think I'm going to go back to these real quick and turn down some of the... There we go. Oh, I'm also going to do this real quick. I'm going to go and try to get my velocity sets here down a little bit so we get a little... Yeah, that's much better. All right, bass time. To go here because this thing is it's a sine bass and we don't get you know, a sine wave doesn't really give you a whole lot of high ends to play with, so we're going to try and use the degrader to kind of liven this up a little bit. let's try a little bit of this. I'm going to slow the BPM, and now I'm going to use this dedicated FX LFO to basically take the sample rate redux knob and just kind of a little bit, give me a little motion on it. So the depth I'm going to put to about, let's say 7. Theoretically, that should put us 7. If you're looking at 128, I don't think this always resolves this way, but I just still kind of think of it this way. But if you're thinking 128 steps, I'm going to try and go, say, if I'm at 50, if I set it to a depth of 7, then I should be increasing to 57, but then coming back down and going 7 below 50, which is 43. So I should be hovering between 43 and 57, theoretically. They don't always stick to that kind of number ratio stuff, so I'll have to look that up. But I do want it in free running mode. I do generally prefer, when I kind of have this going, I generally prefer a triangle because I want it to hit that peak and come back down, where a sine is going to slow down kind of exponentially. Or, I forget, algorithmically, I forget which one's which, but essentially it's going to slow down and not change many parameters, while it then comes down, then it's going to increase. I want that to be a nice, steady, linear thing. So, triangle it is. Boom, boom, boom. We got a very slow speed. Here it's we got. Now we can filter some of that out. No, we can't, because it seems to be taking everything with it. I'm kind of already. Oh, I can. No, because it's post. But I think, I've not even used this yet. I think I can change where the filter goes. Well, it doesn't help me in this instance per se, but I actually did just stick the filter before the overdrive, and I like that. Okay. I think we got something what I would consider an okay song, just to start with. So now for fun, what I'm going to do is start bringing in the per step output destination parameter effect, if you will. So idea is I'm going to load up this bus, 4 buses. I'm going to load them up with some kind of wacky, pretty, intense effects, mainly because I want to show and demonstrate what's happening. I might be more subtle when I'm actually writing the song. But for now, I think subtlety will not be the right choice. So let's pick out some bus effects. So 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's go ahead and start with our first one. And you get 2 effects tracks. So you can build like a decent little chain here. Let's go with Dirt Shaper, huh? Let's see what Dirt Shaper's going to give us. So, just for fun, and for really the point of being able to hear it, I'm going to mute everything, but the drums. So, now I'm going to hear what this sounds like when I come over to track 1, and I send it directly into that Dirt Shaper effect by switching this parameter right here. Okay. So, not much difference. I mean, maybe if we A-B'd, we'd hear a little bit because I haven't really done much to this guy yet. So, Dirt Shaper. We have a full wet, a little bit of noise, a little bit of rectify, a little bit of that. Ooh, that drive is hot. I do like the drive, but then I definitely have to turn down, because I don't want to send it there and just all of a sudden get blasted. So I'm going to bring this down. Here's the trick. I got to come back here and kind of figure out. So I got 21. That's what it sounds like without, right? Let's try and keep it in there. Sounds pretty normal, like in terms of level, volume-wise. I'm probably good with that, so let's go ahead and add another effect. Ooh, let's try this chrono pitch. This might be a fun one to add in there. Oh, all right, here we go. Kind kind of slowing it down a little bit. Ooh. That's just too much. Well, I mean, it's definitely going to tell us what's happening. Let me hear what it sounds like when I go back and forth. You're hearing a gap because I'm doing it manually, but if you do it just parameter lock-wise, it sounds instantaneous to me. So let's go here, and let's change it back to mix. We're on the right track. This is where we engage, they call the super track. This is the track that lives above the subtrack. No, you can't. Yeah, they're all, because it's on the send page, and they all route to that same send page, so it doesn't really matter. But this automatically puts you into the super track thing here. So what we can do, let's go ahead and set one here for mix AB. We'll make sure it comes back there every time. Let's have it go here over to 1. And then back. Not really hearing too much. What if we did this one more time? Oh, I know what I did wrong there. I think it's only just set to go. Well, it says a 4th. Yeah, okay, it's working. Let's try one last one at the end. Nah, that's not enough. Okay. Let's bring in another song or another sound. Oops. What am I doing? Mute. Oh man, just everything has a different. The old function to get into the mute modes and all that stuff on the other boxes. So I was getting a little thrown off there. Okay, out of there. We're on track 2. We are now get out of this. Let's go to the FX here. Let's see. Where do we want to? Let's try it right here. I feel like that one's already got enough going on that we're not going to hear much there, so we're going to move on for that one. We'll bring that in again later. Let's see where we get on this one. We get 4 pages, no, 8 pages to mess with this guy. So first one, we're going to go ahead and put mix AB locked. Okay, we'll try it right at 6. Oh, here's something important though, because I want these notes to happen without getting in the way. This is not a super track. This is just a regular track. So I want these changes in the output destination to happen without actually triggering a note. So what I need to do here is in is it grid mode, which is just the record button. You can now start seeing you can add notes. Let's get rid of those. But you can also hold function and hit something, and you can see it's yellow. Yellow meaning what that is they used to call it a trigless trig. And as silly as that sounded, that's what they said, and you get used to it. So that's how I still think of it. But I think they call it a yellow lock trig maybe now, or a function trig. I forget. There's another name for it, I think. But I still call them trigless trigs because it is a trig that doesn't trig. Then the idea is that it can lock any parameter for the most part, but it doesn't actually send a note. So instead of playing a sound, you're just playing all the parameters around that sound. Therefore, this sound can continue to play uninterrupted, but we can interrupt the parameters. So I am going to mix this back to 1, and then I'm going to make sure it comes back by 9, and back to mix AB. Let's hear that again. We got so much going on with the kick already, I mean the drums, so we're seeing just by itself. I'm going to try this every time. Just make it like a nice repeating pattern thing. it's, you know, now without its charm here, we're getting there. I think what we need to do is add a new effect. But let's go ahead and just get some of this going here. Yeah. I'm just gonna keep those muted. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's come over to the second bus, and now we're going to add something really wild because I want it to really sound different. So we are in bus track number 2, which is technically track 10. Hit effects, go ahead and hit yes, or function effects to load something up. Let's see, we could do a comb filter, we could do the degrader, filter bank, frequency warper. How about frequency warper? Hopefully that'll have some madness to it. So let's go ahead and mute these you guys again. We're going to keep this one. What's playing? Yeah. Okay. So track 4. It's got out of mute mode. Hit record. We can see all of our trigs here. Where am I? I want this. There we go. Oh! Is this the one that's just playing that one over and over? Yeah, it's just 2. Okay, cool. That'll be easier. All right. Let's go ahead and start with number 1. Okay. Wait. There we go. We're going to go to amp. No. FX. And then lock it to mix A and B. Okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to pre-assign it. Function trig to get a trigless trig. I'm calling it that. That's my old man thing. I learned it and I'm done learning it. Alright. And then we're going to bring it back at 11. So back. Okay. So for 7, 8, 9, and 10, we are going to send this to mix. What did I put? Mix 1 or bus 1? We're going to go to bus 2. You can barely hear anything because this thing's already really kind of affected. Okay, so now we can come over to track 10, the second bus. We can see what effects we have in here. Interesting. It's not doing much. There we go. Oh, because it's happening. That's what I messed up. Okay, back here. Track 4. And we need to do this on both pages. Okay, you know, something. So let's go back to track 10, and that doesn't matter. Second effects, function effects. Now maybe we'll put some of that delay. Wait. Oh. I didn't think I could put the super void reverb in there. Huh. Okay. Well, we don't need that right now though. I want to do the saturated delay. Maybe the warble. Let's just see what that sounds like. It's that frequency shifter is doing a lot already. Yeah. Alright, FX. Let's go and try the delay. Okay. Let's try it fast. Okay. You know. I'm going to try something interesting on this next one. Let's go to bus 3, aka track 11. And this time, let's see. What do I have control over? Additional. Okay. This is a bit of a workaround. but I am going to set, get out of mute mode. So we are in track 11, and this is what's really cool about this. With the bus, you can actually put in, you can put destinations for the buses themselves. You get limited, obviously. They don't want you sending back into the buses, creating sort of feedbacks. It would be nice if they did create what was similar to how Octatrack and I believe I think the Analog 4 did, where you can essentially piggyback into tracks. So if you're at track 1 and you have an input going in, you can then send that to track 2 and track 3 and track 4 and build big effects and stuff. It would be nice if they did that in the kind of idea, like if you're a bus 1, you could then send to bus 2, and bus 2 could send to bus 3, and bus 3 could send to bus 4, but they can't go back one because that would, of course, create a feedback loop. So that'd be kind of a cool addition. Hopefully they'll do that one day. I can't see why not. All right, so with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it. I'm going to do this. Boom. This is just 16 steps. I'm going to take every other one of these and lock it to the mix AB. Let's go ahead and copy that and paste it. I'm going to lock these to a different output that I am not using. So that way we should effectively get like a dropout. I think the only track I haven't really messed much with is this guy. So if I put this bus 3, I'm going to try one more thing now. So you can see that's already kind of fun. Like it's basically dropping that bass out, which is fun if you're, when you have this thing properly MIDI sequenced and set up, which I'm going to do. I actually got the Novation Launchpad XL3 to do that. You can do things like set a MIDI controller to set the output destination and hit one button and send one or multiple tracks over to some specific submix, some specific bus, just temporarily, momentarily or even by toggle, but that way you can just boom, send it over there and have a crazy effect, then bring it back out. So you can program it. You can also live performance it, which I do think the performance aspects of this will grow tremendously. I'm hoping, but I do believe it. So anyways, I wanted to go back to this track, and instead of 16, I'm going to do something a little weird and see what happens if I do 15. I like that. Basically, what I've done effectively is because I'm dropping one step off of each bar, when it comes back to 1, it's one step off of the bass. So it's instead of the first time it's going through, it's like playing the 1 and the 3 and the 5 and so on, the odds, and then it comes back through because it shaves off one step and it starts playing the evens of the, or it starts affecting the even steps of the bass track. Dude, that's fun. I mean, again, we're not making masterpieces over here, but just for that, even that little kind of silly song right there. I'm gonna, just for fun, let's hear what happens with the drums when I send that down there. We are in the super track. Let's see what we got here. So, bus 1. Let's send this over to bus 3. Oh, wow, I didn't have these locked? Wait, what's happening? Why isn't that? Are we getting a bug? It's not locking the tracks. Dang it. Am I in the super track? I mean, I have to be, don't I? No, I don't. I was not on the super track. Okay, well, whatever. Let's go back here now and do it right. I thought I had to be when I was in that way, but I guess I didn't realize I was in one of the subtracks. So let's try it again. Okay. Let's try here. As you can see, every other time it's hitting that. Yeah, that's fun. Let's come right after and send it into +2. And Then on top of that, I'm going to send it to the reverb. Okay, now the last, okay, you can already hear it's getting really crazy. Kind of fun for a build-up, but maybe not continuously. So, man, I love Elektron. They do so many cool things. It's like, and there's more. So here is more. We can hold these down now, and we can go to the trig area, and we can now set a probability. Heck, we could even do a conditional trig, but just to make it easy on myself, I'm going to set a probability. I'm going to do 57%, because why not 57%, huh? Every time. So now I'm going to do this. Oops, what am I doing? Uh-oh. I'm going to actually keep that at 57. I'm going to do this one to conditional of pre. I'm sorry, not pre. So we only get one of them. That means always one of them is going to play. You know what? I take that back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one. Oops. Oh, I just lost it? Oh well. Let's just copy and paste it. Let's do 100% on these so that we can get this guy back down to like 57. This one I'm going to do 2 of 2. So you can hear we're getting pretty wild there. I think for me, the struggle that I have with this right now is, and it's not anything to do with the machine, it's to do with my head, is remembering all this stuff, where it is, you know, what I've affected. It will be nice when they can maybe do a little bit more. For example, having trig preview is, when they release that for the Octatrack and all the other machines, total game changer. You know, I used to have to go through, if I was like trying to make one specific trig and place it just where I needed it, I'd have to basically go around and listen to the loop 100 times just to catch it real quick and hear it. Now they've added some things that are really fun, like page loop, trig preview. It makes it much more easy to really define a sound and get it just right without having to listen to the pattern over and over and over, which will drive you crazy. So that's coming. That I would bet everything I got, because every machine has that. I mean, every machine I have of theirs does that. I can't think of one that doesn't. They added it to the analog series. They added it to the Octatrack. It's on the... Ooh. You know, it might not be on the modal cycles. You know, I don't think it is. So I take that back. Maybe the modal cycles and modal samples are the only ones. But if it, other than that, I'm pretty confident everyone has it except for the Tonverk. So that was hopefully something going to be fixed too. All right. Okay, that one's kind of a bust on that effect there, so I'm going to get rid of that. It was a fun idea, but it did not work out. I think it's working great for the bass. Wait a minute, did I? Oh, because I did the delay and reverb here. That's why. Man, this, okay, it's like stuck. See, look, boom. Can't get it to delete, so I'm gonna have to copy and paste this. Okay, but now the delay is super high. Oh, that's for all of them. Just to make it clear, although I'm in a subtrack right now setting those, I'm actually setting those. So like if I crank, let's see, the reverb's at 23, I cranked it up to 127, I go to a different track, it's also at 127. The whole send area is, it is a send effect for the entire super track. So all the subtracks go to the same sends. So I will say maybe just for, I mean, I guess you should just know that once you get used to it, but it would be nice if that just didn't show up. Like you had to be in the super track to see those, because that would just kind of make it a little easier to understand. But you can easily learn that, so maybe that's not something they need to worry about. All right, well, there is a ton more to do in this guy, but I think I'm going to call it at this point, just because it's getting a little late, and let me talk about a few things. Yeah, I keep calling it the Octatrack. Sorry, Tonverk. You're not the Octatrack. You are your own thing. And yeah, once they resolve the MIDI sync bugs, there are more bugs to go. But once they resolve that, and I would hope we would also get the ability to edit the recordings from the multi-sampler. I am going to feature the Tonverk probably in just about every one of these videos, only because what I'm going to do is I'm going to create those patches on all those synthesizers I have behind me and multi-sample them. And what I want to do from there is then compile those and figure out, kind of the best way to, as my audience hopefully grows, which it's growing. This streams aren't doing all that great, to be honest with you, but my other videos are doing well, which is nice. What I would like to hope is eventually offer something that could be of value to people, like, grabbing these multi-samples, and maybe some other presets and other things that might be interesting to people, and put them into like a Patreon, or maybe sell them individually. I don't know. As it stands, I put a lot of time into this stuff and I don't make any money for it. And I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I love doing it. But I won't lie, if I made some money doing it, I'd be able to do it more, and I'd be able to do it, with a little more belief that it's not just a hobby. It's something I really would like to do professionally. So with that said, I hope that if you like what I do, you continue to watch, you definitely subscribe, and please like as well. Those all matter. And I also really hope that you enjoy what I'm doing enough where you'll start commenting and maybe joining me on a weekly basis, and telling me what things you want to see, what synths you'd like to hear of. I don't have a huge budget. I have no budget right now because I kind of spent my budget on the Tonverk for now, but eventually I would like to build up a budget that I could, obtain new stuff, or figure out a way that maybe companies might want to send it to me, so let me do some demonstrations. I'm not interested in full-on reviews. I'm not interested in getting a new device that's full of bugs and trying to tell you that it's not, because I really don't like that. I don't want to be dishonest, kind of like the Tonverk. I did pay for this with my own money, so I'm not held liable to anybody or held under contract with anybody to tell you what's good about it and what's not good about it. So I'll just tell you the truth. So yeah, you probably aren't going to see any sort of like loop hop style. He's great. I think he's doing the right thing. He seems to be honest about what he's reviewing. He tells the truth about those things that he has problems with. But he is about showing you every function and how it all works. I want to treat these more of like just having fun and using them to make sound, which will, of course, hopefully be educational too. You'll learn some stuff about the synth. I'll learn some stuff about the synth, and we'll also make some fun patches, hopefully together. But the point being is that I would love to engage more and hear what you guys think, and hear what you would like to see more of, just so I can maybe make this more appealing and more popular. So feel free to drop me a line through YouTube, or, I'm on Reddit. I'm going to do a better job about listing up my social media stuff and how to get a hold of me, and other places you can check out my stuff. Maybe I'm relaunching a website soon here. It was up for a while, but then I switched providers and I got to rebuild and all this stuff. So it's kind of been on the back burner. Yeah. So more to come, is what the point is. But really, I'm getting decent engagement, but I really hope I can figure out a way to get more people to come out, especially to this Versus Let's Make a Patch. I want to either do more streams on different nights, or maybe I have to stick to this one but change it up a little bit. I got some excellent drum machines back there, so maybe like Let's Make a Beat a few times. Let's make a song. Let's make all sorts of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, all those things. and I hope you have a good time watching these videos. I do intend to put out some more tutorials. My 6 tips for the motorcycles was rather popular. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be for the medieval EP1320 from Teenage Engineering. I've gotten a few requests to do some stuff for that. So that one will be probably the next thing I do a tutorial on. Tutorials meaning tips. Again, I'm not going over the whole thing. I'm not doing that. I have no interest in doing that. I just kind of want to share how I use them. Maybe some of my workflow tips and just some of my kind of sound design and song construction tips. Yeah, that's where I'm going to be doing, because everything else is just work. Like, those are the things I like to do without feeling like it's work at all. I could talk about synthesizers and make sounds on them pretty much till the last breath I take. So until then, I hope you join me. I hope you enjoy, and thank you so much.